Hey guys, it's Sunday, September 15th. It's been a while. It's been almost 5 months since my last video. um, I've had a lot going on um, in the last few months. I've taken a sick leave from work. I'm dealing with some mental health issues because my work is such a toxic environment. And, sometimes you think you're mentally tough, but you only can take things so much until you almost crack. And that's what happened to me. Without getting into all the details, I finally had enough. And it took me too long to realize that my mental health was far more important to me than that fucking place. So I went to my doctor. She's 110% supportive. Um, when I was telling her what was going on at work, she just sat there with a shocked look on her face. And the first thing she said when I was done talking is, "Yeah, you need a break. You need out of there." So she wrote me a note. I took it to work that day. The next day was my last day. I see my doctor every 3 weeks or so. I've spoken with a social worker that works at the clinic where my doctor is, and they both want me to go see a therapist, which I'm going to do. I'm going to set that up tomorrow. Um, yeah, it's just been an up and down last few months, and I'm sorry about that, guys. But anyway, I'm back. Um, so over the course of the last couple of months, three friends of mine in the hobby asked me about how I do my groundwork. So I've been working on this KV-1 since about May. I think I started it, and I thought, I'll make a video. So I made the video that's coming up on how I do the groundwork last week, over the course of almost a full week. So that's coming up next, and this was a lot of fun to work on. Um, the KV-1 itself, typical Tamiya kit, no issues, real fun build. There's not a whole lot to it. It only took me 2 weeks to build, which is quick for me. I painted it with the combo of, hi Riley, Tamiya dark green and what was the other color? Oh, I can't remember. I can't remember what it was. About a 50-50 mix. Then I did my winter whitewash, and then I weathered the snot out of it. The groundwork was a lot of fun too. I did a couple things I've never done before. The wall section here, what I did, I'll put some pictures up of what I did. But I made a blanket of insulation foam, and I made a mold out of it. And then I cast two sections in plaster, and took a hammer to one of them so they didn't look the same, and detailed it all with a dental tool. I textured the outside wall with wood filler and a sponge. And yeah, the pipes are all plastruct. Um, the supports are 2-part epoxy putty detailed with Meng bolt heads. The little, I don't know if you can see it, little electrical box is a modified resin toolbox I had in the spares. And the conduit are stretch sprue. So it was a lot of fun. I explain more as I go into the video how I do the groundwork. So we'll be back. So what I normally do is, if I'm going to have like a rubble pile, I'll build up with scrap pieces of foam just to build up volume. Because I use cellular clay, and this stuff takes forever to dry. And the thicker you put it on, it could still be drying 2-3 days later. So this is all ready to go. I work in sections. I probably won't do this whole thing. We might. We'll see where I go, how I end up. So I just take the cellular clay, and this stuff is, yeah, it's really messy. So I keep a cup of water handy just to, yeah, mix a mess. So I just put my cellular clay down. And you can use a brush to get into the little nooks and crannies. And that's all I do, really, beginning. You don't have to be perfect because this is going to be all covered up anyway. So I'll go around and do the rest. You don't need to see me do that. So I'll be back when this is all done. I forgot to mention, a lot of people talk shit about cellular clay. They say, oh, it cracks, it peels up at the edges and, you know, shrinks. Well, no, it doesn't, because I add white glue to it. Just the Page white glue from the dollar store. And it works. I've used cellular clay since the 80s when I first did my first dial. I've never had it curl at the edges, I've never had it crack, and I've never had it shrink. So the people who are bitching about it, I don't know what they're doing wrong, but they're doing something wrong. Okay, I'll be back. Hey guys, I ran out of cellular clay. I didn't feel like mixing up anymore. So I'm done up to this part here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have this Evolution tanker, Russian tanker. If I can get it out of the bag. Gonna have him leaning on a rubble pile just out of view. I'm gonna have the two Panzer Grenadiers standing on the sidewalk and the KV-1 in the middle of the road. That's what those toothpicks are there for. That's where I drill the holes for them. So he's gonna be up like that somehow. So when I put the cellular clay down for that section, I'm gonna have to let it sit for about 2 hours so it kind of firms up a bit, because I gotta put his impression in the cellular clay and then leave it until it's dry. To do the rest, because I don't want it to look like he's sitting, you know, too high on the rubble or whatever you want to say about it. So, shit. So once it firms up for a bit, the next thing I do is, if you're going to have large pieces of debris, I put them in first. You put them in wherever you want, you know, up here. Yeah, that looks good there. This is just plastruct tubing that I rusted up. Oh shit, I put the wrong one down. Oh well. I think I'd have one of these leaning in the corner like that. I was going to use that shorter one, but I guess it doesn't matter. And an I-beam that I rusted up. It look good like that. So then next what I do is my larger rubble. These are just blocks I've had since the 90s. I think they're custom dioramics. So I just left them in a Ziploc bag, and I smashed the shit out of them with a hammer. But I did make a mold first, so I can cast more if I need them. And these aren't plaster, they're, what do you call it? I can't remember the name of it. It's like ceramic plaster. It'll come to me. And then I just randomly drop stuff, press it in a bit. And be mindful of the kind of rubble you're putting down. Because this ruin here, it's all block, it's not brick. So, it'll look kind of dumb if you got a block building with brick debris. So, just, you know. Oh, one important thing, and I found this out. I found this out the hard way. If you're like me and you like to trim your bases with basswood or balsa, seal the inside edge or inside side with like an oil-based varnish or something, because if you're using silly clay or sculpt the mold, something that's got water in it, it'll warp it. I think it was the Tiger dial. I forgot to do one of them, and the next day it looked like a banana. So just try to remember to do that. Here's some bigger pieces. You know, there's no rhyme or reason to this, just random. If you miss a few spots, the next step will take care of all that anyway. As I go on a finer sand, finer rubble and stuff like that. So my allergies are absolutely killing me. I take medication for my allergies, and it's ragweed season up here, and it's absolutely killing me. Oh, I got these. This is just chicken wire that I borrowed a piece of it from work. I should actually borrowed a bigger piece. I thought it looked pretty cool. It looked like rebar. So I just rusted it up with pigments. So you can stick that in there somewhere. And I got another piece. This actually was one piece. I cut it up because it was too big. And yeah, I'll fix that bare spot. If we don't press them all the way into the silly clay, it doesn't matter because this is going to get all covered with water and white glue anyway to bind everything together. I got these. These are just small pieces of wire that I thought would look pretty cool as like conduits or something. Put that in there, kind of. I forgot to prime them before I painted them, so the paint came off in a couple of spots. But that'll get covered up anyway. And this is wire as well, but that's too long. Yeah, that's good enough. All right, so, oh, there it is. I'll put that over here somewhere. I let this sit overnight, at least 24 hours. So I'll be back with the next part. See you soon, guys. Okay, hey guys, it's almost exactly 24 hours later. It's Tuesday. So this has been drying for about 24 hours, and it's still, part of it is still not dried all the way through, but that's all right. What was the spot in here? Yeah, it's still. So I'm going to leave this again for about 12 hours. Or I could do part of it. I'll show you what I do. So after everything's fully dry, the first thing I do is I go in with really fine sand. This stuff here. I've got a whole giant container full of it. I don't even remember where I got it. And I go in and I fill in all the gaps between the rubble with it. If you miss a few spots, it's no big deal because there's another step after this. What I used to do would put glue down first, thin PVA, but I like doing it this way better. And then I take, this is fine rubble. I've got all kinds of this too. And go around, and you got to watch out too for round stones. I call them beach stones. They're not, they wouldn't look normal in rubble. So I try to eliminate them when I can find them. Then just go around, make little piles. I should have sifted this, but I didn't. I'll take some of the smashed up bricks or blocks, put them in there. I'm going to have to resand the base again because like a dummy I got cellular clay all over it. So again, I only work on small areas, excuse me, areas at a time. Usually once my hands start to fatigue up, I'll stop and then take a rest and I'll work on another section. Yeah, that looks good. So then, what I do to bind everything together, where'd it go? Water, IPA, and white glue. What the alcohol does is it breaks the surface tension. So it'll help the water and the PVA get absorbed into the groundwork. And I just drops. This is about almost 50-50 water and alcohol. Oops. You can use a pipette if you want. I just like doing this. So that's it. Then I let that dry for 24 hours. And then I'll come back and I'll do the next step. So I'll finish this all off. I don't know if I have enough cellular clay left to finish this section. I'm going to have to go buy some more tomorrow. If I do, I'll do that and then we'll go from there. So that's it for now, guys. Hey guys, it's Friday, September 13th. Finished the rest of the groundwork last night in the corner here, and I got the German or Russian tanker to sit nicely on the cellular clay. What I did is I let it set up for a couple hours, and then I set him in it, formed him in there so he looks like he's actually sitting in the rubble, and then I just put the rubble around him, and then let him sit there for another hour. Pulled him out, tidied it up a bit, and now he sits in there perfectly. So the next step is I like to give my groundwork a wash. I know there's a lot of painters out there who will paint everything flat black. It looks great when it's done, but to me it's twice the work because you got to go back and repaint everything. All the brick and the rubble and block and whatever else you got in there, you got to go back and repaint it all. So I like to tone my groundwork with washes. I think it looks a lot better. So I started using acrylics. I used to use oils. I just got these at the dollar store. They were like, $1.50 each, and they work great. And I mix them with water and IPA. The alcohol helps break the surface tension of the acrylic so it absorbs into the groundwork. I like to mix it dark, like a sepia color. You can mix whatever color you want. I didn't make enough, as usual. But whatever. And then I just go around and just I use a brush. You can use a pipette. You can use whatever you want, whatever works for you. And it looks pretty dark when you put it on, but it'll tone back when it dries. And you can give it another wash if you want. If you want some areas to be darker or use a different color or whatever you want. It's up to you. And that's all you do. I got a funny pipette story. An old neighbor of mine was an aircraft modeler. And one day, if you put too much on, I keep a sponge right by my area here. Just dab it off if you put too much on. Anyway, one day we were talking about where we get our supplies from, and the topic of pipettes came up. And he said he buys his off Amazon, like 200 for $10 or whatever it was, and he asked me where I get mine from. I told him I buy them at the hobby shop 2 towns over. And he goes, why? And I said, well, I'd rather support a local hobby shop than get stuff off Amazon. And like I bought a pack of the big ones. I think it was like 8. It was like $5. And the smaller ones, it was like a 10 pack for like $6, whatever it was. And he's like, well, don't you go through a lot of them? And I said, no. I said, you do? He throws them out every time he uses them. I thought that was hilarious because I reuse mine all the time. This is the one I use for my oil washes. Just clean it out with some white spirits. You're good to go. Anyway, at least he gave me before he moved, he gave me a Revell 148 scale A10, which I may build one of these days. So, anyway, just go around. Not all this glued down. I missed some spots. Just take your time and give that. You have to give this another bit of a wash with some thin PVA. Make sure you're getting all the little nooks and crannies. If you miss it, you can do it again later because it's acrylic. It'll dry in a couple hours. Sorry about the shaky hands, guys. The tendons in here. I'm probably going to have to get surgery. I saw my doctor today. I got to go for a nerve conductivity test because she thinks I've got carpal tunnel too. And I got to go see a plastic surgeon about my wrist. And yeah, so it's been really bothering me. So I like using a brush over a pipette because you got more control over where your wash goes. Yeah, I'm going to have to give some of this a bit more IPA and water later. All right, so I'll finish up. I know this is probably boring as hell watching me do this, so I'll come back when this is all done. See you in a bit. Okay, guys, I'm back, and I'm done for now. Took me about 40 minutes to do all that. I'm going to let it sit. It's almost 7 o'clock. I'm going to grab some dinner. Probably let it sit 4 or 5 hours anyway, and then I'm going to give it another soaking of thin PVA. I don't know how I missed so much rubble, but there's a lot of loose rubble in there. One thing important to note, craft acrylics don't like too much alcohol in the mix. I guess it's because they're not alcohol based, but I don't have any problems with thinning viejos with alcohol. So whatever these are made from or out of, whatever, you put too much alcohol in the mix to thin it, it gums the paint up and it destroys your brush. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. You can use water alone, and it'll absorb in. It just takes a bit longer. That's what I did with this one. I didn't put any alcohol in. I just used water. So yeah, just put a drop or two of alcohol in when you thin your acrylics, and yeah, just be careful. You can add a drop of flow improver if you want. That'll help too. I'm going to experiment with dishwasher rinse agent, because it helps break surface tension too, but I don't know how that's going to react with the acrylics. I use it to thin. I have a mix here. Where is it? It's water, 6 drops. This is about 10 ounces, or 2 ounces, 60 mil. Water, 6 drops of dishwasher rinse agent, and a couple of drops of glycerin. It works fantastic. Thinning viejos, mission model paints, Stynel res, and that's all I've used it on, I think. Yeah, I saw a video last year of a guy, and that's the mix he uses. So, all right, that's it for now. I'll come back when I'm ready to highlight this. I'm going to use oils to highlight everything. So I'll be back for that. Take it easy, guys. See you soon. Guys, it's Saturday afternoon. It's like 6 o'clock or something. After I finished the last bit, filming it, I let the wash dry for 2-3 hours, and then I gave everything a good soak with PVA again. So I'm ready for the highlighting. Colors I'm going to use are burnt sienna, buff titanium, titanium white, and ivory black. I never soak the linseed oil out of my oils. I don't know why and how that became a thing. Because when you take the linseed oil out, you're taking the binder out, so you're just left with pigments and whatever else. It makes the oils more fragile. I get the reasoning behind it. Oils dry quicker, and they dry flatter. Well, you're going to dull coat your kit after you're done weathering anyway. And modelers and figure painters are some of the most impatient people I know. Anyway, I always paint straight out of the tube. Hi, Riley. As soon as I sit down, you got to come over and start bugging me, don't you? You just had dinner, and you had your treats. What more do you want? He's coming up to say hi. Hi, buddy. Go lay down. Okay. So I'm going to start off with mixing a light gray. You don't have to be too perfect with your highlights. You just want to show off, detail on the differences between the shadows and all that. I always use a lint-free rag to wipe my brush. And you just start going around. Just want to catch those edges. If you miss a few spots, it's okay. As you're going to come back with some different colors anyway. This is just a number. It's a number 6 flat I use for a lot of my highlighting. Yeah, you can see that. No, there's something else I missed again. Oh well. With all that fucking on PVA, and I still miss some. Just bringing out detail. You don't have to go too crazy. You can do as much as you want or as little. It's all up to you. and nobody can tell you you're wrong. I absolutely soak this with thin PVA, and there's still some shit that's loose. I'll generally do one highlight cover over the, or highlight color over the whole thing, and then I'll go back and use different colors in certain areas. And hi, Riley, now you want to play ball. I know this is really exciting to watch, isn't it, guys? But I just want to show you my initial highlight. If you want, you can fast forward because this doesn't get any more exciting. All right. Sure. I don't know how well you can see that on camera, but so that's pretty much it. That's how I do it. I'll let this sit for maybe a half an hour, and then I'll come back with another. Maybe I'll use some buff titanium and black or whatever, and just pick different spots and kind of highlight them a little different. It gives it a bit of variety, and that's it. So I'll be back when this is done. You don't need to see me because it's just the same thing but with different colors. And yeah, so I'll be back. Okay, hi guys. It's about an hour later. It's hard to see on camera, but there's some subtle tone differences in the highlights. Just the way I like doing things. You can highlight it on one color all you want. Yeah, the groundwork is done. Hold on a sec. Hold on. And that is what it looks like with the KV-1 on it. It was a really, really fun build. Easy kit to put together. No issues with it. Like I mentioned before, I got off aftermarket tracks because I wanted to show the thrown track, and the kit came with link and length, and you couldn't really do it with that. So, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it, and all three of you had a lot of great words of encouragement and really kind words about the build. It was fun. Another Tamiya kit I would build again. But yeah, that's it. Anyway, guys, I hope this video was helpful. Sorry it took me so long to get to it, but with all the shit I've been dealing with in the last few months, I just had no mojo to do it. I'm back. One thing I forgot, because I'm always forgetting something, is that sidewalk section I made out of the same blocks I used for the rubble. I made I made a mold out of it and made 3 castings. I forgot to put a curb on it, but I think it came out pretty good. So I hope you enjoyed that. Oh, and I'm not looking for any sympathy about what I talked about before. I just felt that I owed you guys an explanation where I've been, because it's been almost 5 months. A lot of you have been very supportive of this channel since the very beginning. So, and I truly appreciate that. So, anyway, let me get this out of the way. So, all that's left now is the figures. I'm doing these 2 Alpine Panzer Grenadiers. 2 of the nicest Alpine figures I've ever seen. They were absolutely perfectly cast. Hardly any cleanup needed. Way to go, Taesung, if you're watching this, which I highly doubt. And I'm doing this Evolution Russian tanker. I was going to do these 2 guys, but I couldn't get this guy to fit in anywhere. So these 2 are primed in Stynal Res. And here's their gear. You see that? Yep. I'm going to probably start painting these in the next couple of days. And I haven't primed this guy yet because I got a little seam line I got to fix. The way they cast this, they didn't make the arm attach to the shoulder. So I just got a little thing I got to fill with some 2-part epoxy. And I'm going to prime that guy in my new favorite primer, Pro Acryl. This stuff is absolutely amazing. You don't need to thin it. It goes on great. It's really durable, and it sticks to resin. I did a test spray with it on a scrap piece of resin I had laying around, and it's better than Stynal Res. So if you can get this stuff, I found a place locally that carries it. Grab it. It's great primer. So anyway, like I said, I hope you enjoyed that. Hi, Riley. Thank you. And I'll be back at some point. Maybe I'll do a little update when I'm painting the figures. We'll see. It won't be 5 months. I promise you that. So thanks again for tuning in and supporting the channel. And we'll see you soon. Take care, guys.